Hi there and welcome to Coffee Break Plans. Today's topic is my 5 favourite notebooks. I have 10 minutes, so that's 2 minutes for each one, so let's crack on. So the first one, and this is the good old-fashioned Warwick school exercise book. And they have been a part of New Zealand's school landscape since Adam wore shorts. My entire life I have done my schoolwork in either these books or in books very, very much like this. So they are made to a particular standard and they are at a particular price point to make sure everyone can afford them for their schoolwork. They're 7mm ruled, 32 leaves and 64 pages for your soft cover type books. You also have hardbacks, and of course with the hard cover you end up with a much more durable notebook overall. So these are always the ones that were recommended for science classes. So wherever you are in the world, you will have an equivalent version of these books. So I did grow up using the 7mm spacing. Wow, what happened to that one? If you go too far either way, so if you have a look at this Lord of the Rings notebook, this is 8mm spacing. And if you have a look at your Moleskines, they are 6mm spacing. And I find this just a little bit uncomfortably cramped and this just a little bit too large. And the best features of these, the line width is good, it has good quality paper, you can get soft or hard cover, and they're cheap and easy to find, and they're also very, very consistent. I've been buying these books for, God, how old am I now? 40 odd years, and you get the same type of book every single time. They don't differ. They don't really change in colour or design very much. This book is over 20 years old. This one's more recent, and you can see there's very, very little change in the design. It's pretty much the same thing every year for decades on end, and that becomes really, really reliable. The biggest disadvantage with these is that you can't tear out pages without wrecking the overall notebook. Once you take out a page, the opposite page and the signature will fall out. They are stapled together, so if you drop them too much, they fall to bits. And of course, the hardcover is a little bit more durable. Okay, on to the next one, which is spiral bound notebooks. So you have so many different brands of these. So this is a Spyrex one, this is an Office Max one. Now these look like they're coiled, but don't mistake them for a coiled notebook. A coil looks like this, where the coil starts at one end and coils through each hole, and then it's stopped at the bottom, and you can undo this and uncoil your notebooks. These are simply bound. I'm going to show you on this one actually. So these are just bound, and all you have to do to take them apart is lift these up, and then the whole notebook will come apart. So of course the fact that they aren't coiled and that they do just have this join at the back is one of its greatest weaknesses. Once the spiral becomes distorted, if you drop it too many times or if it gets caught on something, you can see this one's been smushed into my computer bag just one too many times and it started to distort. They can start to fall apart at the back, and then finally the back cover falls off and then all the pages start to fall out. But they're cheap and easy to find. The paper's usually good quality. They fold back on themselves, which I find always really useful. If you write right-handed like I do, when you're on this particular page, you can write and then the spiral doesn't get in the way too much. And likewise, I'd say if you write left-handed, the coil's not going to get in your way when you're writing here. It does a little bit, but not too much. You can tear out the pages, or if you want to keep a page, you can snip it and move it. I have snipped the page right where in between the coil, and now I can take it off and put it back on. You don't want to do that too many times. As you can see, it's starting to tear at the top here, but I find that quite useful if I've taken some notes in a different notebook and I want to put them somewhere else. All of these spirals probably all come from the same manufacturer worldwide, and they're all interchangeable. All you have to do is see this one here is a little bit larger. I just have to cut the top off, and I've just folded in that page at the side here. The next one is the Leuchtturm 1917. I used these for 5 out of my 7 years of bullet journaling and absolutely loved these notebooks. The best thing about these is that they're hardback. They are super sturdy and they will take a year's worth. And this is one that I carried around for over a year. I've been carried around, dropped, jammed into bags. I think I dropped red wine on it at one point, and they hold up to a lot of bashing about. They have ribbons for bookmarks. This is just your standard Leuchtturm. It has 2 ribbon bookmarks. It's bound, so all of your notes are secure. You're not going to lose a rogue page unless you've cut bits out, in which case it becomes a little bit unstable. These have page numbers and they're quite big and clear. This particular notebook has 250 pages, so that's plenty of room. You can use a fountain pen on it and you get a little bit of light ghosting on the other page, which I know annoys some people, but for those of us who don't mind a bit of ghosting, that's fine. And you have various layouts. This is a dot grid, but you can get plain or lined versions of these books. I find these really consistent. You can buy the same notebook year after year and you are getting the same thing every single time. You might have some specialty colours. I will be able to buy a black notebook every single year and know exactly what I was getting. They are really consistent. The bad stuff is you can't move pages. So if you make a big mistake on a page, you can't take it out and forget it never happened. You can glue them together, however, and you can't tear out your pages without damage. There is no pen loop automatically included. I bought a separate pen loop for this. They are 5mm dots, which I find just a little bit narrow for me to write comfortably. But I also find one of the good things is that it actually keeps my writing quite small and in that way automatically a little bit neater. But overall, it is an outstanding mid-priced notebook. The next one is a Sterling Ink notebook. Now first, I just want to do a little bit of a disclaimer. I haven't bought a specific notebook from Sterling Ink. My only experience has been with these common planners, which are grid layout, and you can buy notebooks from Sterling Ink with lines. So if I were to buy a notebook, I'd buy a grid layout just like this, because that's what I've been using here. They use Tomoe River paper, and I think you can buy 520 page notebooks. So you are getting 520 pages of paper packed into this compact notebook, which I think is really useful. You don't have to worry about running out of room. Page numbers on every single page. Fountain pens work really well in these. There is some ghosting on the other side, but not much. They are bound. Again, that means your notes are permanently safe unless you've been willy-nilly cutting pages out, in which case you may lose a little bit of the integrity of the binding. Now these are a relatively new brand and new sizes and colours are always being introduced, but you can still buy a consistent notebook every single year. So if you love a notebook and a format, you will be able to buy the same one over and over again, although they do make small tweaks. It's nice and solid, stays together despite being bashed about a lot. This gets jammed into my handbag a lot. I mean, the cover's barely scratched. But of course, the downfall is with all bound notebooks, you can't rip out your pages without doing serious damage to your binding and to the integrity of the notebook itself. There are no bookmarks or ribbons. These I added myself. However, I have noticed that in the upcoming September release, it looks like she is adding ribbons to some of her planners. On to the last brand. And we are, of course, talking about Archer and Olive notebooks. I consider these to be a luxury product. They come in a range of sizes. They have really high quality paper. This is 160 grams per square meter paper. You can write in your permanent marker, so your Sharpies or your Vivids, and it just does not show through at all. You have 2 ribbon bookmarks with every single notebook, no matter what size. One has a metal ampersand on it. You have an elastic closure and a pen loop comes with every single size. If you see them all lined up here. They take a heck of a lot of punishment, but I have seen in some recent videos of some of these falling to pieces. So the spine at the edges here where you have these pages glued on here, that they have fallen apart, and then the cover has fallen away from the main text block, and I've also seen it where the text block is starting to deteriorate. I've never had a problem with them myself, but these ones I bought some time ago, so they may have changed manufacturers or something, I don't know. For those who rejoice in rainbow colours, elaborate cover designs, if I had a use and a budget for every single type of Archer and Olive notebook, I would buy half a dozen. But if you like the same notebook year after year, you are not going to get that from Archer and Olive. Sometimes they redo their favourites, but most of the time each book you buy, you are unlikely to be able to buy the following year. So you're going to get a different colour, a different cover texture, the whole works. This book here demonstrates my point perfectly. This is an 8x10, which I don't think they do as a standard issue. It came in a subscription box. It is a blackout book. It's absolutely beautiful, but if I wanted to buy this again, I wouldn't be able to. Depending on what I'm using it for, I like a bit of consistency. That said, I do tend to use Archer and Olives for specialty uses that I do at home at my desk. rather than carrying it around in the world. For example, my reading journal, which stays at home at all times, and anything I do on this journal is done at home. But overall, these are outstanding, high quality notebooks. And of course, the price goes up with that. But I personally think that they're worth every penny. So there we are. My 5 favourite notebooks at the moment, at least. Have a great week, and I will see you next time.